That's better. Where'd I go?
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Polly back here on the Latino Slant. Now, before we get into the review, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. If you haven't already, you don't know what you're missing. Interviews, reviews, live shows, a lot of musical performances, and we just keep on growing. So thank you for your support. Now, on to the review. This is episode 3 entitled "And the Winner Is," from the Selena TV series on Netflix. Now, as the story goes, Selena and Los Dinos are nominated for their first ever awards for the Tejano Music Awards. And this instantly catapults them as far as notoriety and excitement, of course, for the family. So there's literally, so this title of "And the Winner Is" of the show takes on a very interesting meaning. There's the obvious one because Selena eventually, in the episode, wins Singer of the Year. And there's a lot of good moments in this show. And one of the finer moments is when Selena is already at the award show, all dressed up in the restroom, kind of refreshing her makeup, and she runs into the reigning queen of Tejano music, Laura Canales, and they have a great exchange. She's thanking Laura for being the first, or making the road easier for women in in this particular field of music, and she's like, maybe easier, but never easy. The actress that played Laura Canales, I thought was fantastic, and it was what I found in this episode, and I'll get back to the story breakdown. What I found in this episode are some, at least a few really great, genuine moments that kind of, the performances rise above the writing and the hallmark kind of adaptation of this series, and that's one of them. So she wins. And instantly, they're the hot ticket, and they book their first ever performance in Mexico, in Matamoros, with Johnny Canales, who's like the kind of like the Jay Leno of that era and that region of Mexico in the U.S. So now there's another subplot too going on, in that AB, the brother, introduces a drum machine to the band, and there's an immediate conflict with Suzette in how she is not necessarily a good enough drummer to change tempos mid-set, that a drum machine might be needed to aid her. So she has a complex and an insecurity that Noemi Gonzalez really performs very well with this conflict. It gives the character something very real and juicy for the actor, something really really juicy for her to really work through, and we see that in the scenes. So there is a scene where Selena and Suzette, they're doing makeup, or they're in the room, and Suzette's very down on herself, and Selena reassures her that you are the perfect drummer for me. You are the perfect drummer for the time, for Los Dinos. So it was a nice scene. It didn't really fully satisfy Suzette's insecurities, as they do go to Mexico, and it's in front of thousands of performance, like their biggest live performance yet. And they're saying, if the song in English goes bad, you got to change tempos really fast and get to the cumbia or to the Latino song. I think it's La Bamba, which of course is like what Suzette has been kind of traumatized with, and there's even a flashback to where she overhears AB talking to her to their dad and saying that we can't switch mid set because Suzette doesn't have that talent. So we see that little flashback and the little girl playing Suzette, kind of like almost, really, on the verge of tears. We see that flashback because in present time they're dying with this English song that they decided to open up their Mexico set with, so they got to switch tempos. And Noemi's character Suzette, played by Noemi, gives a nice wink to AB mid tempo and switches it up. So that was a nice, that was definitely a nice moment for the character and for the actor, and also to a really nice way to storytell and to kind of meet that how do you say it? Meet that challenge and overcome it. And that's what makes the character almost I mean, for me, she's definitely one of the more main characters in this particular episode, and more interesting than the title character. And that is already 3 episodes in, this problem that continues to bug me is that I don't care about the lead actor and their portrayal as Selena. So when I see a co-star in their subplot and their storyline take more importance and it's way more interesting, then I don't know, what the future of this show is going to be remembered for, or how it's going to play out. I do know in this episode, and the winner it's 2 meanings, right? Selena winning the awards, and getting that advice from the former winner, but then something just much more real and something I could connect with was that Suzette's the winner, because she not only she overcomes her demons there with her talent as a drummer, but there's a fan in Mexico, and we get to see her arrive to the concert. And she has some discrepancies with her parents that they won't let her go to the concert because they all have to work. They're all working in a Mexican restaurant, and she's, pleading with them. And I have to say, the actor who played this fan was fantastic. It's all in Spanish. Very much, she played it real, and not over the top. She finally gets to go to the concert, and she watches the concert. She's a huge fan. And at the end, when they're packing up, the fan walks by Selena and walks to Suzette. And Suzette, in total shock, signs her first autograph to a fan. And the fan says, "I want to be a drummer. You're the first female drummer I've ever seen in my whole life." And that was a fantastic payoff for the story. For the episode, it was the best emotional payoff, hands down. Hands down, to me, that rose this episode from being a C average of an episode to, I would say, C plus. Definitely much better than the episode before. For me, I'll give it I'll stay with the C plus. I mean, it's a slightly above average, but there's also way too many holes in the writing, flat writing, repetition of what was already established before in the first 2 episodes, and just a lot of head scratching with some of the lines that are even said and why they're even said. And I'll give you an example. They're driving to Mexico, and they want to know about the story of AB's family, and Selena starts telling it in a very kind of like over-the-top telenovela fashion. The father gets upset and says, now I remember the words that Abraham says is that, this is not a telenovela. These are real people who really lived and existed, and you would not be here if it wasn't for them. So you're like, ooh, okay, right? So then the guy who they were telling it to, one of the band members, he's like, well, I still want to know what happened. can you still please tell the story? Which is like, okay. So then Abraham starts telling the story, but then the actual music score of the TV show in the scene becomes a novella type of feeling. So here, I just don't get what they're trying to do in storytelling. It's like, cool, cut out the music, cut out everything, let Abraham tell the story, let it be beautiful. You don't have to oversap it, especially when he just said our life story is not a novella, but let me tell you the story with novella music. I'm gonna start ignoring that aspect of the show, which was kind of hard to do, right? It's called Selena, and pay attention to just the other subplots as much as I can, and the performances as much as I can. And if I am proven wrong in the future, that's great. I hope so, but from what I've seen in this episode, complete miscast. That story is going to be a broken record. Everything else, like I said, Noemi Gonzalez, excellent. The fan who's a fan of the drummer, fantastic, and the Tejana scene where she talks to the older Tejana reigning queen of Tejana music. So that was fantastic as well. So again, let's stick to the C+ of this episode. Catch all my other Selena reviews in our segment. Our section is called All Things Selena. I also have interviews with Noemi Gonzalez. We have musical rundowns. And I think that's it. We'll see you next time. And remember, wherever you're at, keep your slant fuerte.